My name is Thomas. I'm 80 now, and this is something from my life I don't want to keep quiet anymore. I am 80 years old now, and only lately have I begun to understand the silences my wife carried for me. They were not empty silences, and they were not born from distance or anger. They were made of patience, of waiting, of choosing peace over explanation. When we were younger, I thought silence meant everything was fine. I mistook calm for comfort and comfort for understanding. We shared a life that looked steady from the outside, built on routines that worked well enough to last decades. I went to work, came home tired, spoke about practical things, and believed that was what love required of me. She listened more than she spoke, and I took that as ease instead of effort. At the time, I didn't see how much weight can live inside quiet agreement. I assumed if something truly mattered, it would be said out loud. I didn't realize how often love chooses restraint to keep things moving smoothly. In our 30s and 40s, life felt busy but manageable. We raised a family, paid bills, marked years by milestones rather than moments. When she went quiet, I thought she was simply content. I rarely stopped to ask what she might be carrying so I could keep going unchanged. Now, looking back, I can see how often her silence protected me from discomfort. She absorbed worries so I could stay focused. She let things go so arguments wouldn't take root. She held back words that might have slowed me down or asked something more of me. I didn't ask for that sacrifice, but I benefited from it. At 80, you learn that love is not only what is shared openly, it is also what one person quietly holds so the other can breathe easier. If there is any truth I would pass on from this place in life, it is this: do not assume silence means nothing is there. Sometimes it means everything is there, waiting gently to be noticed. I did not see that when she was alive. I see it now, when the house is quiet for different reasons. And this understanding, late as it is, has changed how I listen to the world around me. When I return to the years when we were both busy and strong, I see how naturally her silence blended into our days. She handled things before they became problems, smoothing edges I never even noticed. If something disappointed her, she often adjusted herself instead of asking me to change. I thought that was harmony. I thought that was love working properly. In my 40s, I believed providing stability was my main role, and I leaned into that belief heavily. I spoke when something needed fixing and stayed quiet when things seemed calm. She filled the gaps with patience. There were evenings when she wanted to talk, and I answered with tired nods instead of real attention. She learned which moments to let pass. She learned which words to keep to herself. I didn't ask her to do that, but I accepted the comfort it gave me. Looking back now, I can see how much energy it must have taken. Silence is not effortless when it is chosen again and again. It is a form of care that costs something every time. She carried concerns about family, about our future, about small emotional distances that grew quietly. I mistook her calm for contentment. I mistook her strength for ease. There were moments when she sighed softly and said nothing more. I let those moments pass because they did not demand anything from me. At the time, I believed I was being respectful by not pushing. Now I understand I was being comfortable. The slow cost of that comfort did not appear immediately. It settled into our marriage gently, without conflict or clear damage. Her silences became part of the structure of our life together. They held us steady, but they also held her alone. I did not see how much she was protecting me from emotional weight. Only now do I understand that love sometimes asks us to notice what is not said, and I was not listening closely enough when it mattered most. The cost of those silences did not show itself while we were still moving through life side by side. It revealed itself slowly, after time had already passed beyond reach. When she became less energetic, I thought it was age, not weariness of carrying so much alone. I stayed focused on tasks and routines, believing that steadiness was the same as care. There were moments when she looked at me as if she wanted to say something important and then chose not to. I remember those moments clearly now, though I barely noticed them then. I assumed if she truly needed something from me, she would say it plainly. I did not understand how often love chooses quiet to avoid becoming a burden. The turning point came without drama. After she was gone, I began hearing her silences more loudly than her words had ever sounded. I realized how many decisions she softened so I would not have to wrestle with them. How many worries she absorbed so I could stay certain and forward moving. I had mistaken her strength for simplicity. I had mistaken peace for effortlessness. In the weeks after her passing, ordinary objects began to carry meaning. Notes she never left, questions she never asked, conversations we never finished. I felt a heaviness that did not come from grief alone, but from recognition. I finally saw how often she stepped back so I could stay the same. That clarity arrived too late to change our life together. It arrived when love could no longer be adjusted, only understood. I began to see that silence is not the absence of feeling, but the presence of restraint. She restrained herself for my comfort more times than I can count. I lived inside that comfort without noticing its source. There is no moment I can point to where this truth announced itself. It grew slowly, like light filling a room you thought was already bright enough. By the time I saw it clearly, there was no one left to say thank you to. That is when I understood the cost of love I had never been asked to pay out loud. What cannot be fixed now is not the love itself, but my awareness of it while it was still alive. I cannot go back and sit beside her with the attention she deserved. I cannot hear those silences again and choose to step into them differently. At 80, you learn that understanding does not always arrive in time to be useful. There were no arguments to resolve, no harsh words to apologize for. There was only a pattern of quiet accommodation that I benefited from without realizing. She made room for me in ways I never learned to make room for her. I used to believe love meant not causing trouble, not stirring emotions that could be avoided. Now I see how much of herself she set aside to keep that calm intact. There were questions she didn't ask because she already knew the answers would ask something of me. There were feelings she folded away so the day could move on smoothly. I lived comfortably inside that smoothness. I told myself we were happy because there was no conflict. I did not see how much effort it took to keep things that way. When she was alive, I thought love that lasted didn't need constant attention. Only now do I understand how attention is what keeps love from becoming one-sided. This is not something I carry with bitterness. It is something I carry with humility. I was loved deeply, even when I did not fully return that depth in the same way. That truth is difficult, but it is also grounding. It keeps me honest about who I was and who she chose to be for me. I cannot repay what she carried, but I can finally see it clearly. That clarity does not reopen the past. It simply changes how I hold it. At this age, that is sometimes the only kind of change that remains possible. And it is enough to sit with it quietly, without trying to soften it or look away. Now, at 80, I listen differently to the world around me. I notice pauses, hesitations, the spaces where words choose not to appear. I no longer rush past quiet the way I once did. I understand now that silence is often where love hides when it is trying not to ask too much. My wife's silences were not signs of distance. They were signs of care shaped by patience and restraint. She carried them so I could move through life without feeling pressed or questioned. I live with the understanding of that now, even though it arrived too late to change anything between us. I do not carry this as regret meant to punish me. I carry it as a truth meant to steady me. Love is not only what we say or do, it is also what someone else quietly holds so we do not have to. I see now how important it is to notice those unspoken efforts while there is still time to acknowledge them. If there is any guidance my life offers, it is gentle rather than urgent. Pay attention to the silences that feel warm, not empty. Ask what they might be protecting. Speak gratitude before it becomes something you can only think. I cannot say these things to her anymore, but I can live with them honestly now. That is how I honor what she carried for me. I sit with the life we shared, aware of its depth, aware of its imbalance, and grateful that love, even when quietly uneven, was real. This story ends here, in acceptance, with a softer way of listening than I ever had before.